Is your number on the $1 million based on a math? And I know you're a math guy. I think you got a major in mathematics, right? I think you got a major in mathematics. And as somebody who's a math guy and your brain is wired, everything is math. Did you come up with $1 million based on a formula, or did you come up with $1 million of assumption of what you think is going to take place?
I came at it two ways. I looked at the number of users, the user growth, and I chose $1 million because it has to be more than $1 million. I can guarantee it. I came at it that way. It came up with maybe between 3 and 7 million. I came at it the mining way, okay, which I believe is a lot more valid. The last Bitcoin to be mined. Okay, there's 10,000 miners. Thank you, Jimmy. The difficulty rate for that last Bitcoin is going to be almost infinite. It's going to cost $4 to $5 billion to mine that last coin, and miners are going to do it. The value of that coin has got to be more than the work put in to mine the fucker. So if it costs, let's say, even $1 billion, all right, so $1 billion, the last one. Why don't you work backwards from there and find out what the end of 2020 is going to be? So two ways come up with the same number. Between, that's 5 million is probably the thing. 1 million, it's way outside the lower range, so I'm very safe.
It's fascinating watching your level of conviction that you have in the product.
It's not a level of conviction. I look at reality as objectively, not with what I wish it would be, but what it actually is.
One, you have a complete different perspective on Bitcoin because of the way you describe it. Tell me your point of view on Bitcoin. Why you think Bitcoin is going to go to $1 million by 2020?
Well, there are a bunch of ways to do it. The most common way is to take the number of users of Bitcoin, because as Bitcoin expands in its user base, both people who hold the coin and people who accept the coin for payment, it's skyrocketing. It's skyrocketing. So it's not going to disappear. It can't possibly go to zero. It can only grow as the user base grows. So it's impossible. Belfort, I don't know how smart he is, he's wrong. He does not understand digital currencies and how they work. Listen, it's Pandora's box. The box has been opened. The spirits are invading the room and they will not go back in. And you have to believe me. Digital currencies will replace fiat currencies. Why? Good God, I have a wallet on my phone, which is an entire bank. Lending money, sending wires, I don't have to go to the bank. It takes me 10 seconds to do a wire, 10. I've got to go down to the bank, fill out a bunch of forms. No, that's nonsense, utter nonsense. Do you think that is going to go to zero?
The part that concerns me with Bitcoin, I really want to hear your rebuttal on this. When Jamie Dimon is touching $7 trillion of money per day of transactions, that's not just money, that's a lot of political power with a lot of countries that are connected to that $7 trillion.
Yes.
And so he is one phone call away from so many different prime ministers, presidents, kings, sheiks, whatever you want to call it, because he's touching all these money. I'm not talking small money, we're talking big money here. You know that.
$7 trillion.
$7 trillion is a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Okay, so
half of our gross domestic product.
If it goes in the direction of these 21 million, Bitcoins being used and 4 million's lost, I think, I don't know the number that was lost. I think it's 4 million of them that was lost, some number like that. Don't you think a guy like that and these guys who control elections and control all these other things, don't you think they're going to make a phone call and they're going to say, hey, listen, Mr. Congressman, Mr. Senator, you want to do this again? You got to make sure you take care of this thing. You cannot let this Bitcoin stuff take off the way it is. This is out of control already. Don't you think they're going to make those calls to figure out a way to do what they've always done, which is, listen, small business owner wants to compete with a big business owner. How do you beat them? Very simple. Big business owner goes to somebody and helps them out financially in the political side and says, listen, make the barrier to enter more difficult. How do you do it? More regulations, more licensing, more laws, more rules, more this stuff. And so the new guy cannot come and compete with this guy. Right. He has, in a sense, a monopoly with two other companies, if you want to call it a monopoly. So that is my only concern with the argument you're making is...
But you're assuming that Congress can make whatever laws they want, obviously. They can outlaw Bitcoin. They can do what they want. You're assuming that there is a possibility of enforcing those laws. That's utter fucking nonsense. You cannot stop a distributed system that is worldwide. There is no law that you can make. If you had one person per citizen in the country, 400 million enforcers, you still couldn't do it. Well, because the enforcer will have to sleep for some point. It's not possible. Okay? Now, admittedly, the way that things were 6 months ago, when exchanges were centralized, you could shut down an exchange. You can't do that anymore. They've now decentralized exchanges. You can't stop it, you can't shut it down, and you can't know anything about it. So tell me, sir, how will you enforce these magical laws that Congress is going to make? Jamie Dimon has no power in this world. But here's the misconception. The misconception is that legislation can have teeth. It's not possible. This is a distributed world. There is no legislation that can touch it. You can't change it. You can't fix it. You can't stop it. You can't control it. You can't direct it. You have no power. I don't make the laws. Make whatever you want. It will make no difference.
You are that certain about it?
Well, I'm a technologist, for God's sake. We're talking technology.
I mean, a lot of technology people have been wrong in the past before, though. But you're that certain about it.
Not wrong about their technology. And this is technology. I'm telling you something. Just like I can tell you antivirus software does not work because it cannot stop the hackers in the world. I said that earlier. Why? Because it technologically can't. Nothing can. Now, same thing with Bitcoin. You can't stop Bitcoin. This is a fact. Technologically impossible.